The man wakes up. He found himself kidnapped by a group of dwarfs. In the blink of an eye there are at least tens of thousands of people. The man was angry. With all his strength he broke free and stood up. The general picked up the toothpick. To the man's foot girl. 8 little men caught the man's pants with their fishhooks. They pulled hard and exposed the man's buttocks. And then, put a dwarf in a ditch. When he wakes up, have been dragged into the palace by tens of thousands of dwarfs, and gave him to the king as prey. The king thought it was a monster, so they put him in a cave. 2 bundles of mini straw. It was his year's rations. Then David found out. Except for him here, there's a man in custody. Teddy, for writing a love letter to the princess. He was put in a cave by a general who liked princesses. David said as soon as he heard it. The general seemed to be a man of impotence. What a coincidence. Their conversation was heard by the general. Day 2, and David was taken to plow the land. And that's when the enemy country launched an attack on their country. It also caused a fire in the palace. After the general found out, he will direct David to the palace to rescue him. But it was too late. The princess has been kidnapped. Teddy took the opportunity to remove the controls on David's body. Let him help save the princess. Then David came to the front of the palace, picked up 2 enemies, and threw them into the water. When the general gets here, the princess has been saved by David. The other side, the king was trapped in a sea of fire. David wanted to save the king, but the fire was too intense. That left David with no help. The king was about to burn to death. Suddenly David had a brainwave. He took off his pants straight away. The fire was brought under control with warm holy water, and so the king was baptized. Then the general came. 2. David couldn't help it. Gave the last drops of holy water to the general. The king thanked David for saving his life. He held a special dinner party, also according to David's size. Built a sea view villa. This man strayed into Lilliputians. Used pure natural holy water. Doused the flames of fire. Saved the king of Lilliputians. The king thanked David for saving his life. He built David an ocean view villa. David told the king in a stage play. He is the hero of the play. The king believed in it. That's it. David stayed in Lilliputians for a few more months. He also successfully served as the guardian general of the Lilliputian country. But it made the general very jealous, so he shut down all the defense systems. The enemy launched an attack at once. Countless shells were thrown at the palace, but David was still enjoying his meal. As soon as he heard of an attack, right on to the front, David turned his head and was stunned. A vast expanse of battleships and artillery. David's legs went limp with fear. Faced the king's rainbow fart. David's gonna have to go hard. He took off his clothes, showing a big chunk of muscle, to come before the enemy, with both hands in the air. However, there is no soft use. The enemy king gave the order. Tens of thousands of sesame seeds hit David in the stomach. David gave it a flick. Sesame bounced straight back, almost wiped out the whole enemy country. Then he grabbed the rope, and brought tens of thousands of ships back to their own country. The battle made David directly famous. Not only is there a special massage every day, and there are professional gardeners who fix his hair every day. The whole country of Lilliputians is plastered with pictures of David, but the honor made the general jealous. So the next day, the general defected to the enemy country. It's only been a month. According to the drawing, the general has developed a super robot, and challenged David. The enemy country was angry. He immediately ordered the general, developed a robot. Day 2, the robot then challenged David. David took a look. The little man is vulnerable to attack, and the next second, the robot has gone into a deep evolution. He's a head taller than David. David pushed hard, but the robot won't move. It was only 3 seconds later, David gave in completely. The king and the princess were put in solitary confinement, and David was banished overseas. It is said that the other side of the fog, it's a horrible world. Wait for David to wake up, has come to a beach, but he just got up. He got knocked out by a large glass bottle buckle. Wait for him to wake up again. His clothes have been changed into a floral dress. There was a sudden jolt of earth. In a flash, in front of him was a giant little lorry. It turns out that this terrible world is the kingdom of giants. Little lorry treats David like a doll. A small bottle, right into David's mouth. A mess of spray, and took a giant pin, and tied a knot for David. By the next day, David took the opportunity to find a parachute, to fly to the Lilliputians. Back to Lilliputians, he saw Mary, the goddess, by accident. Mary and David were originally colleagues. In pursuit of Mary, David played the hero and ventured to the sea. He didn't expect to be swept into the Lilliputian by the vortex. Mary was worried about David, was involved in it, caught by the Lilliputian soldiers, in front of the goddess. David doesn't want to give in, so the next day, he challenged the robot, but the robot has been upgraded in several versions. David is no match at all. Teddy crawled inside the robot, knocked out the robot's power. See, the robot can't move. David pulled up the statue of the king. Go up there. It's a big blow to a robot, and then destroyed the transformation device. Let the robot be completely scrapped. The escaped general took the princess hostage. He didn't expect it. The princess knocked him out with one blow. The film ends. David used a square dance, bring the 2 Lilliputians back together. Then he went on the boat with Mary, left the Lilliputians.